In the grand land of Zarathia, where tall pillars touched the sky and gold gleamed everywhere, lived Empress Lysandra. She was very beautiful, with skin like smooth marble and eyes like deep pools of midnight. But her beauty was cold, like a winter morning. No one ever saw her truly smile, and her heart seemed to be made of ice. The people of Zarathia bowed low when she passed, not just out of respect, but out of a little bit of fear. Whispers followed her like shadows. Old women huddled in marketplaces, talking about the Empress's secret desires. They spoke of things not meant for daylight, of long nights in hidden rooms, and of strange powers she might hold. It was said that her wishes were dark and twisted, things that went against all the old laws of Zarathia. Some even whispered about magic, and how Lysandra might talk to spirits in the dark. These hushed tales made the air around the palace feel thick with mystery and a thrill of danger. The Empress's palace was as grand as her reputation, a maze of towering walls and endless halls. Golden statues stood guard, their eyes seeming to follow visitors. Rich tapestries, woven with scenes of old heroes and strange beasts, hung from every archway, making shadows dance even in the brightest sunlight. But for all its beauty, a strange quiet hung in the air. Footsteps echoed too loudly, and laughter seemed to die before it reached the high ceilings. Beneath the polished marble floors and behind the gilded doors, ancient secrets lay hidden. Some rooms have been sealed for centuries, their stories lost to time, or perhaps simply forgotten by fearful minds. The air itself felt heavy, as if the very stones of the palace remembered dark deeds. A chill wind often swept through the corridors, even on warm days, making the silken curtains sway like ghosts. This growing sense of unease was not just from the whispers about Lysandra. It was part of the palace itself, a silent warning to all who walked its shadowy paths. Into this grand, yet eerie palace came a young woman named Ilara. Her eyes were bright with curiosity, and her mind was sharp, always eager to learn new things. She was a scholar, meaning she loved books and old writings more than fancy parties. Ilara had heard the whispers about Empress Lysandra, the tales of her beauty and her strange, dark ways. But it wasn't the scary stories that brought Ilara to Zarathia's court. Instead, it was Lysandra's famous mind that called to Ilara. The Empress was known for being very smart, a ruler who understood complex ideas and kept ancient knowledge alive. Ilara hoped to find old texts and learn from the Empress's wisdom. She saw Lysandra not just as a cold queen, but as a brilliant leader, a woman of great power who shaped an empire. This drew Ilara like a moth to a flame, making her step bravely into the shadowy palace, ready to uncover its secrets and perhaps even impress the formidable Empress herself. Ilara felt a pull, a strange mix of excitement and wonder to be so close to such a powerful figure. Ilara spent her days deep in the palace libraries, surrounded by old scrolls and dusty books. But her curious nature pushed her beyond the usual paths. One afternoon, while exploring a rarely used wing, she noticed a faint draft coming from behind a heavy tapestry. Pulling it aside, she found a small, hidden door, almost invisible against the stone wall. Her heart thumped with excitement. With a gentle push, the door creaked open, revealing a narrow, dark passage. Ilara lit a small lamp she carried and stepped inside. The passage led to a chamber, not large, but filled with a strange glow. This must be the place the servants whispered about, the Empress's secret study, known only as the Crimson Chamber. The room was packed with odd things: ancient maps drawn on animal skins, crystals that pulsed with a soft light, and scrolls tied with dark ribbons. There were statues of creatures Ilara had never seen, and strange tools made of polished bone and silver. An unfamiliar scent, like old spices and something metallic, filled the air. This was no ordinary study. It was a room of deep secrets. As Ilara's lamp cast dancing shadows across the Crimson Chamber, her eyes fell upon a small, leather-bound book tucked away on a dark wooden desk. It looked like a diary, old and well-used. With trembling hands, she opened it. The pages were filled with elegant, flowing script, the Empress's own hand. The diary told a shocking tale. It began with Lysandra's early life, not as an empress, but as a young noblewoman with big dreams and even bigger fears. She felt small and powerless. Then, the entry spoke of a desperate moment, a night when Lysandra called out into the darkness. A shadowy entity answered, not with words, but with a presence that promised everything. Lysandra made a terrible pact. In exchange for unmatched power and the gift of eternal youth, she would serve this unseen force. The diary detailed the first chilling effects of the pact, a cold strength settling in her bones, a timeless gleam in her eyes. It was clear that the beautiful, cold Empress was not born, but made through a dark bargain. As Alara read further into the diary, a chill crept up her spine, colder than the palace air. The pages started to tell of the shadowy entity's growing hold on Lysandra. It wasn't just a simple trade of power for youth. The entity whispered dark thoughts into her mind, twisting her desires. It urged her to be cruel, to enjoy the fear in others' eyes. Lysandra wrote of commands that felt wrong, yet she couldn't resist. The diary spoke of forbidden pleasures, things that would make ordinary people gasp. It described how the entity pushed Lysandra to seek out experiences that were dark and thrilling, far beyond the normal bounds of a ruler or even a person. Her entries became more unsettling, detailing a loss of her own will, replaced by a hunger for control and a taste for the forbidden. Lysandra's beautiful, cold exterior was not just a mask. It was a shell built by this entity, hiding a soul slowly being consumed by darkness and a thirst for power that knew no limits. The ink on the pages seemed to darken with each wicked confession. Reading Lysandra's diary did not scare Alara away. Instead, it pulled her in even deeper. The tale of a woman who traded her soul for power, who danced with shadows, sparked a strange fire within the scholar. Alara had always sought knowledge, but this was different. It was a dangerous, thrilling kind of knowledge, hidden in the heart of a powerful woman. Lysandra's dark allure, once just a rumor, now felt real and magnetic. Alara found herself thinking about the Empress constantly, not just as a ruler, but as a complex being twisted by a dark force. The secrets of the Crimson Chamber, with its odd artifacts and eerie glow, became a puzzle Alara longed to solve. She felt a strong urge to understand Lysandra, to see beyond the cold mask to the soul within, even if that soul was touched by evil. Alara knew this was dangerous, that she was playing with fire, but she couldn't stop. The forbidden truth of Lysandra and her pact had cast a spell on Alara, drawing her closer to the edge of a dark, beautiful abyss. Alara's frequent visits to the palace libraries and her deep questions about ancient texts did not go unnoticed. Slowly, subtly, Empress Lysandra's cold gaze began to linger on the young scholar. Lysandra, used to flattery and fear, found Alara's genuine curiosity and sharp mind a rare delight. It was a new kind of attention, one that sparked an unexpected interest in the Empress. Lysandra began summoning Alara to her private studies, not in the Crimson Chamber yet, but in smaller, richly decorated rooms. These meetings were filled with tense moments. Lysandra would ask Alara about old philosophies or forgotten empires, her voice soft but her eyes piercing. Alara, eager to show her knowledge, would answer with passion, sometimes even daring to ask the Empress her own questions. During these times, their hands might brush as they reached for a scroll, or Lysandra would lean closer, her scent of exotic perfumes and something faintly metallic filling the air. These moments, brief and charged, felt like a dangerous dance, drawing Alara deeper into the Empress's powerful, mysterious world. As Alara spent more time near Lysandra in the hidden chamber, a new, unsettling change began to happen. Her nights became filled with strange dreams. She saw swirling shadows that whispered promises of power and forbidden knowledge. These weren't normal dreams. They felt real, like someone was trying to speak directly into her mind. During the day, she would sometimes feel a cold touch, even when no one was near. Or she'd catch a fleeting glimpse of a dark shape at the edge of her vision, gone as quickly as it appeared. It was the shadowy entity from Lysandra's diary, Elara realized, trying to reach her. It seemed to feed on her curiosity, twisting her thoughts, making her desire for knowledge grow even stronger, but in a darker way. A strange energy hummed around her, urging her to explore the forbidden, to cross lines she once would never have considered. Elara felt a growing push, a silent pull, drawing her deeper into the very darkness that consumed the Empress. One evening, after a particularly intense discussion, Lysandra's eyes met Elara's. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched the Empress's lips. "Come, scholar," she said, her voice a soft command. "There are deeper truths than those found in common texts." With a gesture, she led Elara not to the usual study, but down the rarely used corridor, towards the hidden tapestry. Elara's heart pounded as Lysandra pushed open the secret door to the Crimson Chamber. This time, the room seemed to glow with a richer, darker light. Lysandra moved among the strange artifacts, her movements graceful. She spoke softly of ancient magic, of bending wills and seeing futures. She showed Elara how a single touch could wither a flower, or how her voice could quiet a raging storm. Then, her face growing serious, Lysandra revealed the true cost of her gifts. "Eternal youth comes at a price," she whispered, her eyes dark. "A price paid not in gold, but in a part of oneself, given to the shadow that grants these wonders. And the shadow always demands more." The air in the chamber grew heavy with unspoken danger. After her unsettling visit to the Crimson Chamber, Elara found herself caught between two powerful feelings. On one side was her growing affection for Lysandra. The Empress, despite her coldness, had shown Elara a hidden side, a vulnerability beneath the regal mask. There was a deep connection forming, born from shared secrets and the thrill of forbidden knowledge. Elara felt a pull, a warmth, a desire to understand and even protect this powerful, lonely woman. But on the other side was a cold, gripping fear. The shadowy entity's presence was stronger now, not just in dreams, but in the chilling quiet of the palace, in the subtle changes to Elara's own thoughts. Lysandra's words about the price and the entity always demanding more echoed in her mind. Elara saw the dark path Lysandra had chosen, the cruelty and forbidden acts driven by the entity. She feared for her own soul, sensing that the entity's gaze was now fixed on her. This inner battle left Elara restless, her heart longing for Lysandra, but her mind screaming a warning about the darkness that surrounded her. Just as Elara struggled with her conflicting feelings, a new danger arrived. Lord Valerius, a powerful noble with a thirst for the throne, saw a chance to strike. He had long gathered rumors about Lysandra's strange ways and her hidden chamber. Now, with bold confidence, he started spreading these whispers openly, calling the Empress a witch and her power unholy. Valerius gathered other dissatisfied lords, promising to reveal Lysandra's true nature to the people. He even spoke of a secret room in the palace, filled with dark magic, and of the Empress's strange, ageless beauty. His words quickly turned the uneasy whispers into loud shouts of anger and fear. This public attack threatened to shatter Lysandra's reign, bringing her powerful rule crumbling down. More dangerously for Elara, Valerius's spies were everywhere, and they had seen the young scholar often in the Empress's company. If Lysandra's secrets were fully exposed, Elara, as her trusted companion and keeper of the Crimson Chamber's location, would be in grave danger, accused of being an accomplice in dark magic. Lord Valerius's challenge hung heavy in the palace air, but Lysandra did not flinch. Instead, her cold beauty hardened into something terrifying. She called a grand court, facing Valerius and his allies in the main hall. Elara stood hidden in a gallery above, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. Lysandra listened to Valerius's accusations with an unnerving calm. When he finished, she simply raised a hand. The air in the hall grew heavy and still. Shadows seemed to deepen around her, moving as if alive. Valerius, who had been so bold, suddenly looked pale. With a silent command, unseen forces twisted the torches on the walls, making their flames dance wildly, then die out, plunging the hall into near darkness. A low, chilling whisper, not from Lysandra's lips, but from everywhere at once, filled the room, speaking of Valerius's own hidden sins. He screamed, clutching his head, and fell to his knees, his mind seemingly broken. Lysandra then simply flicked her wrist, and the torches blazed back to life, revealing Valerius a shuddering, gibbering wreck. Her eyes, as she looked at him, were utterly devoid of mercy, showcasing a ruthless power that silenced all dissent. The terrifying display of Lysandra's power left Elara shaken, but it also clarified a horrifying truth. Later that night, in the quiet of her own room, Elara reread parts of the diary, looking for answers. Hidden between lines, and in the strange symbols Lysandra had drawn, Elara pieced together a chilling revelation. The shadowy entity did not grant eternal youth and power forever without a cost beyond Lysandra's own soul. It needed a new host when its current one began to weaken, a fresh vessel to continue its dark influence. A cold dread washed over Elara. Lysandra's recent interest in her, the strange dreams, the entity's growing presence around her, it all clicked into place. Elara was not just a fascinating scholar. She was being groomed. The Empress had chosen her. Elara was being considered as the next host, a replacement for Lysandra when the time came for the entity to demand a fresh spirit. The affection Lysandra had shown, the shared secrets, the intimacy, suddenly felt like a trap, a careful preparation for a terrible fate. With the terrifying truth laid bare, Elara faced a terrible choice. The shadowy entity's whispers were louder now, tempting her with promises of endless knowledge and power, the very thing she had always sought. It offered her a path to stand beside Lysandra, to share in her dark reign, to be free from the limits of a normal life. A part of her, the part that was drawn to the forbidden and the mysterious, felt a strange pull towards this dark embrace. Yet, a stronger part of her recoiled in horror. She remembered Lysandra's diary, the slow twisting of her soul, the cruelty and the lost will. Elara saw her own future, becoming just another puppet for the entity, losing herself in a hunger for power. The thought of fighting, of finding a way to break free from this monstrous trap, sparked a desperate courage within her. She could try to escape, to save her own soul, but it would mean turning against the Empress, against the woman she had grown to feel a strange, dangerous love for. The path forward was unclear, but Elara knew she could not stay caught between these two powerful, opposing forces. She had to choose. The moment of truth arrived in the heart of the palace, the Crimson Chamber. Lysandra, her eyes glowing with an unearthly light, stood before Elara, no longer hiding her intentions. The air crackled with dark energy, and the strange artifact around them pulsed, as if in anticipation. The shadowy entity was no longer just a feeling. Its presence was a swirling, formless void at Lysandra's back, a gaping maw ready to consume. "Choose, Elara," Lysandra's voice echoed, no longer cold, but filled with a dangerous passion. "Join me and feel power beyond dreams, or resist and face the price." As Lysandra spoke, a veil seemed to lift, and Elara saw the Empress's true nature. It was a terrifying mix of the woman she had admired, the lover she had almost given her heart to, and a monstrous will of the entity that controlled her. Lysandra's beauty was a lure, her intelligence a trap. The entity reached out, not with hands, but with tendrils of darkness, seeking to wrap around Elara's very soul. This was the final test, the ultimate confrontation for her fate. The tendrils of darkness from the entity snaked closer to Elara, and Lysandra's gaze, both inviting and menacing, bore into her. In that moment, with her soul hanging in the balance, Elara made her choice. Her mind raced, remembering the diary's warnings, the cold cruelty, the loss of self. She saw the glittering cage of power and the price it demanded. With a gasp, Elara pushed back, not with strength of body, but with a fierce will. "No," she cried, her voice echoing in the chamber. She rejected the entity's grasp, refusing to be its next vessel, refusing to become another Lysandra. The chamber roared in protest, the shadows recoiled, and a wave of raw power slammed into her. What happened next was a blur of light and darkness, a struggle that shook the very foundations of the Crimson Chamber. Whether Elara managed to break free, or if the entity found a way to claim her, remained unseen. Her choice, made with such desperate courage, would forever change her destiny and cast a long, uncertain shadow over the fate of Zarathia. The silence that followed left only questions and the chilling whispers of what might have been, or what was yet to come.